and then play. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate it. All right, well, let's get started. Sue, good morning, and thank you so much for jumping on our producer's mindset. This is Simon, team leader for KW South Bay. I have the honor and the privilege of having Sue Murphy, one of the top agents out here in the South Bay. Just to give you a little bit of history, and then we'll dive deep into having that conversation with Sue. So Sue has been a licensed realtor and a member of the California Association for the last 30 years with thousands of real estate transactions and satisfied customers. And it's no surprise, that she and her team has voted top performers in the South Bay. She's a big influence and is well recognized, well respected in the industry with her partner as well. Murphy's success is a result of strong customer service, exceptional negotiation skills, and a large base of repeated business. As an owner of the Hoffman Murphy team, the team excels in analyzing the conditions of the market and the importance, right? Like we always pour into you. She excels in the customer experience. And in addition to that, she has a degree in psychology. She is also a graduate of the Real Estate Institute, GRI, a senior real estate specialist, a certified residential specialist, a member of the Women's Council of Realtors, and the Hoffman team was named one of the top 250 realtors in the Wall Street Journal, and is annually recognized as an award winner. So Sue, wow, a lot of recognition.
Thank you,
And I could probably go on and on and on and on and on. So amazing. So again, thank you so much for jumping on this call with me. It is an honor, and we are very grateful for you to give us some insight. So Sue, take us back and kind of let us know how all this kind of transitioned into real estate.
Okay, so I did get my license in 1988. So I think I'm going on 34 years at the end of this year, and it's my third career. So I always feel really old when I say that. I was a teacher originally. I have a degree in psychology, like Simon said, and a master's actually in education. I taught for 8 years, third and fourth grade. And then I had an opportunity to go to work for a corporation, Cigna Corporation, a big insurance company, in their regional offices as a director of budget and expense control. It was an intern program, and they needed someone. Well, they were hiring MBAs, but the guy who was doing the hiring didn't like MBAs, so he was looking for somebody with a master's who wasn't an MBA, and I fit the bill. So I started there, worked there for 10 years, and that was definitely corporate America, lots of traveling and commuting and all the things that come into that, but I learned a lot. And then by that time, it was 1988. I had two kids. They were 5 and 6, and I didn't really want to commute anymore. My daughter was starting kindergarten, and I wanted to be able to work in the classroom. And I had an opportunity. A guy named Mike Hubbard, I don't know if any of you ever heard of him, but he was a big producer in the South Bay back in the 70s and 80s, especially. Lots of development. Great guy. He needed someone to do flyers for him on his computer, and I was in the middle of buying a house from him and said, well, I could help you with that. So it involved into me becoming his assistant. And at some point during that time, I quit my day job, my corporate job with the 401k and all the perks and travel, because I liked the idea that I didn't have to drive to Newport Beach or fly to Philadelphia or Northern California. So I did join him. I was an assistant with him for about a year and got my license. And then I realized he was actually making way more money than I was. And I decided I'd like to just do it on my own. So I did. I had to talk my way into RE/MAX because at that time they only hired experienced agents. That was kind of their thing, RE/MAX, it's the experience. And they didn't have any training or anything like that because they expected all their agents to be producers when they hired them. So I started off on my own, but the thing was, I did want the flexibility. I worried that I'd be walking home from Newport Beach if we had the big earthquake and the roads were down. So I love the idea of being very local, and having some flexibility. But at the same time, for the past 18 years, I'd been getting up every morning and going into the classroom or getting in my car and commuting to Newport Beach. I drop my kids off at daycare between 7:30 and 8 o'clock every morning, and either my husband or I pick them up later in the afternoon or early evening. So I did have that that set in place. And when I started working as a real estate agent and assistant, I didn't change that. I mean, I think this is the biggest thing I always like to sort of make a point of, because I still drop my kids off at daycare at 7:30 or 8, and I went into the office and worked all day. I mean, to me, it was a job, and that's just how you did a job. I didn't have any experience of being able to work at home or take my time in the morning. It just wasn't in my realm of how I thought you went to work every day. But it served me well because I always say, if you do that, if you treat your real estate career like a job, you get up in the morning and get in the office like Simon is right now, by 8 o'clock and start your day, it's almost inevitable that you're going to be doing business because you're at work and you have nothing to do but what you're supposed to do at work. You're not at home, trying to finish your laundry or spending a couple hours at the gym. Not that you shouldn't do all those things, but for me, it was really 8 to 5. And then at the same time, I learned that every Wednesday morning from 10 to noon, I had an appointment that was to work in my kids' classroom. And on Saturdays, I had appointments from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, which was a soccer game. I did miss a few soccer games, but any soccer mom will tell you want to miss a few. There's way too many. But for the most part, I was able to arrange my schedule around my kids growing up. You can ask anyone at Remax. I tore out of the office at 3 o'clock every day and picked them up after school. Tore off a few side view mirrors getting out of the underground parking garage with all the posts that were there. But, I was there to pick them up, and I'd go back to work or work at home for a few hours. But, it's what I did. But it's a job. So I did that at Remax until 2003. And then Marie Hoffman and I had become friends at Remax. I had the opportunity to join Keller Williams. I went there because they had a lot of trainings in the area. And the more I went to the trainings, the more I liked the culture, really is what it was. The trainings were good, but it was the treating your clients like loyal customers and working to get repeat and referral business. I never prospected or even really made phone calls. I didn't have a concept of that until I came to Keller Williams. So I came over. I was the first Keller Williams in the South Bay, the first Keller Williams agent. It was just me and my OP, which was not really the model, but that's what it boiled down to. And Maureen Lee, actually, as my assistant. And so that was us. And we slowly built up an office, and that became KW Beach Cities, where I was until a few months ago when I came over to join Jen and Simon and all of you.
Amazing. Wow. Yeah. What a path, So you started as an assistant.
I did.
As an assistant, and then transitioned into running an amazing organization under Keller Williams. Oh, wow, that's awesome. And currently, how many are in your team?
So we have Marie and I are business partners, and then we have a director of operations, Lauren. Plus, we have several admin. We have a listing manager and a transaction manager. We have 2 VAs, and we have a runner who does amazing things for us, just dropping things off, picking things up, just doing all those little things that take away from your day if you have to go do them. And then on the agent side, we have our listing partner, Laura Grauber, who is my right-hand lady for all the listings that we take. And then right now we have 3 buyer specialists, Matt Gavlik, Tara Landauer, and Wynn, who's newer on our team. And we're looking to hire a couple more into our buyer team.
Wonderful. Awesome. You've been in the industry, pretty significant time. Tell us how you and the team have transitioned through the ups and downs of real estate, pivoting, the 2008 market as an example, COVID as an example, and you started real estate in the 80s. And during the late 80s, interest rates were a lot higher than what we have right now. So,
Right.
as the CEO and in partnership, tell us in the trenches and how that dynamic works when coming through, these challenges in the market.
Okay. Well, so when I started, actually, I got my license in 88, but by the time I went out on my own, it was, I can't remember exactly, but closer to 1990, probably. I was fortunate that the guy that I worked for, he wouldn't put a buyer in his car. So he just had started handing me, buyers here and there. But honestly, the first couple of years I was licensed, I only sold a couple houses. It wasn't a steep trajectory, I would say. But I just kept at it. And I didn't know any different. I mean, the market was tough, but it was just the market. I mean, I didn't have any experience in what, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know anything about inventory or the impact that interest rates had. I just was looking for people who needed to buy or sell a house and see how I could help them. What I also didn't know is that you had to find the people. That was the.
See, you're unmuted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how that happened. The biggest realization for me was that real estate wasn't primarily about helping people buy and sell houses. It was, that is our primary function, but before that is the finding the people. And I just had no concept that that was part of it. The guy I worked for had been in the business for years and years. He never, people just came and sold and bought houses with him. So that was, took me probably about 10 years to figure that out, quite honestly. So here at Keller Williams, you learn that a lot quicker. But I didn't know the market to be any different than what it was. It's just what it was. And as far as our team goes, we started our team in 2006. So we had a great year in 2006 and 2007, I think. But then during that year and heading out from there, there's some pretty bad times in the market. But we just kept our heads down and kept finding people who wanted to buy and sell houses. I always tell my agents, I'm not sure how many transactions there are in the South Bay every year, but I think it's around 4,000, at least 4,000 sides, if not more. And how many homes do you want to sell in a year? 20, 25, 30, 35? Out of all those transaction sides, you're only looking for a few people, really. So it doesn't matter if prices are up or prices are down or interest rates are low or high. There's still going to be several thousand people who buy and sell homes every year. And you just need to find out who, you have to dig, but finding just the few that you need to make your career is really what you're looking for. And sometimes in the harder times, like now when inventory is low, interest rates are high, people need educated, they're less likely to go to their cousin or their brother's friend because they want some real advice. So it's actually a time when you can show your value.
Love that. Yeah. And that's very important, especially in our industry, is our value proposition, right? Mm-hmm. Awesome. So where is most, if not all of your business from?
So we have 2 primary legs in our business, and that is past client referrals, and our sphere. That's number 1. So it's the people that we know and have done business with or who we interact with in our daily lives. So that's one piece of it. And the other piece is our farm, to be honest, because Maria and I have both been sending postcards to Redondo Beach for, well over 20 years, probably. We both did it separately before we were a team. So, we are well known in the neighborhood, and a lot of our business comes from Redondo Beach, which actually also is mostly our sphere and past clients. So it meshes together really nicely. But
Yeah.
people will call us and they'll say, we say, well, how did you happen to call us? Well, we see your signs everywhere. And they're not everywhere. And actually our market share, it's not like we have 10 or 20% market share. It's really, really hovers between 4 and say 7%. It's not huge, but it's enough. Well, it's not enough. We're looking for more, but
We're always constantly looking for more, right?
yeah.
No, it's amazing on the platform, because that's one of the caveats of being in the industry for a long time is repeated business, right? The joy and the satisfaction is not you're out there hunting for business is coming to you. And that's because of the trenches of being involved in the community for many, many years. And it starts with just going out there and doing the necessary activities, right? Going out there, meeting people, passing out flyers, open houses. That's when you start, really seeing the plant of everything that you plant, right?
Right.
And it doesn't happen overnight. But where we see a lot of agents fall short is they don't stay consistent, right?
Right. And then keeping in touch, like, Maureen and I both met a lot of people through our open houses earlier in our careers. And now we don't really remember that it was an open house that we met them at, because they're our friends and past clients. And, sometimes you have to step back and say, oh, wow, that's how I met that person. But also, just to be clear, we're still going out there and looking for the business. We love it when someone picks up the phone and calls us, but we're closing a deal next week, and then 2 weeks later, we're closing the other side of it. This is a single family home in North Redondo that we farmed for years, but one of our buyer specialists, Matt, was just doing some cold calling around the area. I think we call it circle calling. We had another listing, and he started talking to a woman who actually wasn't even interested in selling, but she'd lost her husband and was thinking about it. And Matt got an appointment with her. So we went over, and by the end of that appointment, she decided to list her house with us. So we listed it after we renovated it, got her in a 21-day all cash escrow, which put her in a position to go buy a new house with a 21-day cash escrow. And that happened, I'm trying to think when we first met with her, but it was less than 90 days ago. And that was a cold call from Matt. So.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Again, the presence, because every time I drive, the coastal areas, I definitely see a lot of signs out there. So
they don't have our picture on them anymore. We took our picture off a few years ago.
Yeah, but you're still well recognized in the community. So that's awesome. And I know you're constantly looking for talent as well too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so beautiful. So back in, you said in 2007 is when you really anchored and built this amazing partnership, right? Was that?
It was 2006, yes.
2006, okay.
Yeah.
So tell us, the bumps and bruises, because a lot of agents that want, and the awesome part of what we have here at Keller Williams is you can create teams. How was that dynamic in the very beginning? Yes, you had that relationship with her. But you still have your challenges, your obstacles. How did you navigate, that to build what you have now?
Well, we're probably not the poster children for how to plan and organize a team. We had been working together since the early 90s at Remax, and we had cubicles near each other, and we were both in there often after hours. I would sometimes come in with my kids and a little portable TV. We didn't have laptops at the time. And I'd put them in front of the TV so I could finish my work. And so, and then when I would go on a vacation or Marie would go on a trip, we would use each other to take care of our business while we were gone. So that's really how we built a trusted relationship, because we never second guessed each other. I mean, if you know us, you know we're very different people, but I never second guessed how Marie handled a situation while I was gone. I mean, it might or might not have been the way I would have done it, but I knew, because she was a great real estate agent, that she'd figure out a way to handle the solution. And, you know, I always said my only fear was that my clients would like her better than they did me. So I figured that was a good fear to have, and meant that, you know, she was someone I could trust to leave my clients in good hands. So what happened then is we went to KW separately. And that's when we began to learn about teams and the power of them. But honestly, we were just talking one day, and we had said before we had done some clients together, because we would do open houses together and meet people and work with them together and to buy a house. So we did have some joint clients, and we just said it's so much fun to work together, and it takes a lot of the stress off, because you have someone to bounce things off of and discuss strategy and, you know, pick up the slack if you're gone for a few days. So we just said, why don't we just put our databases together and do it together? So we just kind of jumped in. We did form a corporation. We dumped our databases into Top Producer together. I'd been using it already. And we just went from there. We hired, we each had assistants. So we hired an assistant, and Marie had actually had someone, Darren Smith at the time, who was already helping her show property. So we started our team with an assistant and a buyer's agent, actually, who did nothing but follow Marie around really for months. I mean, literally followed her around every place she went with everyone she talked to. That's how we trained her. And so then we just started. We had our database and our little KW office, and we just worked our butts off and made lots of phone calls, ramped up our mailings so that we're mailing not only to our farm, but our sphere, and just little by little, built things up.
Amazing. Yeah. The consistency, right, in the business. Awesome, Sue. What advice would you give us all, right now with the market shifting, rates obviously climbing? What advice would you give us right now with this interesting market right now?
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, I don't know, this is what, the fourth or fifth shift I've been through, and it just doesn't matter, because your job is to find people who need to buy or sell homes. And there's plenty of people who need to buy or sell homes. I mean, someone's going to sell them homes, right? I mean, there's going to be 4,000 sales this year in the South Bay. Somebody's going to help those people. So you just need to Gary Keller says, more than your fair share, which is what I always try to do. By getting out there and talking to people, or getting on the phones, talking to your neighbors, having some client parties, getting referrals. There are people, the people now, the buyers out there now aren't like, oh, well, we should buy something because the interest rates are great. It's time to move because we want to take advantage of the low interest rates. The people now are, they've all of a sudden they've got 2 kids and they're in a little 2-bedroom condo, or they got divorced, or their husband died and they don't need the big house anymore, or they got a job transfer. So these people are always going to move. It doesn't matter if the interest rates are 15%. If you have to move, you have to move. And if you really want to buy a house, then you're going to buy a house. I think the last few months we've been seeing buyers who were spoiled, so to speak, by the low rates, but those people are either falling off the market completely, or they're second up and buying a house anyway. But there's always new buyers in the market, and they didn't have the chance to have a 3% rate. So, they're coming in with, they're not qualifying at 3 and now they have to qualify at 6. They're just qualifying at 6, and that's the way it is. We've got this much money down. We've got this interest rate. This is what we can buy. So those people who want to get in the right school district, just need more room, they're out there and they're going to still buy. So you just need to find a few.
Yeah, I love what you stated is it doesn't really matter, right, what market it is. If you had an interest rate of 15% or as low as, 3%, it's
Right.
just because people still need to buy, people still need to sell.
I mean, it doesn't even matter what the price is. And we went through the short sale market back in the 90s when prices dropped dramatically. My own brother even said, well, that's sort of the kiss of death for you, right? With these price drops. I said, no, I said, it doesn't matter. If a house that was $1 million is now selling for 800, I mean, obviously it matters to your clients and you're not going to say this to them, but for us, it doesn't matter. You're getting a commission and it's going to be a little more or a little less. But the main thing is, are you going to sell 30 homes this year? And if you sell 30 homes and there's a little uptick or downtick in the price ranges, it's not going to make that much difference. You're going to have a successful career anyway. And if you sell one more, then that makes up for the difference. So it just doesn't matter. You just go out and find the right people that you need. That's the hard part though. I mean, that's what I didn't know when I got into it, because that's the part. It's not the high interest rates. It's not the price drops. It's just finding the right people.
Yeah, but that goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? Is the activities, right? Are you out there,
Yes.
Looking for those opportunities? Because there's buyers out there looking and there's sellers that are looking to sell. You
Right.
just go out there and find that business.
Yeah, proactively. I mean, even in our farm, this lady, I don't know if she would have eventually called us, but I mean, she's been getting our mailings for years, but we had to go to her to find out that she really did want to sell her house.
Yeah.
With a cold call.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. All right.
Which I hate, by the way, but it worked.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of agents do.
Yeah.
So very good. Well, Sue, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for anyone that has questions for Sue. This is an opportunity to really have a candid conversation with Sue Murphy. So I'll open it up. Many.
Simon, hey, thank you. Sue, what a pleasure having you on this session. So your last sentence was my question. You said that you're not really, cold calling is not your thing. So I wanted to ask you, because that's going to inspire a lot of people. You've been doing this for quite some time, very successfully, and went through a lot of changes, etc. What are you excited about mostly in this industry, as running a team, running this business for a long time? And what are the areas that you're not really excited about, and how do you overcome those challenges? Again, just for people to know that it can be done in high level and under any conditions.
Right. Well, what I love are spreadsheets. I mean, honestly, I'd be okay not ever talking to anybody and just spending my time reviewing our numbers and looking at our spreadsheets. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's what I like to do. But I also know what I have to do. So I get in there with my team and I make phone calls because, I am an example for them. At the same time, we also hire people who do the things that we don't want to do. I mean, I did open houses for many years. They were a great source of business, but I've been doing this a long time. And at some point it's like, I really don't want to do open houses anymore. And once you have a couple of other agents on your team, I mean, that's their great source of business then. So, they're hungry for the open houses. So, hiring talented people who want to do some of those things that you might not want to do anymore is a great solution for that. And making phone calls and doing those things that at some point you want to maybe take a step back from, but you have to do it with them for a while. I mean, we would do open houses with our new agents. We would be in the office making phone calls with our new agents, and then stepping back from it. We also, honestly, hiring our runner, having someone who, even if it's part-time, who can run around and just do all those things that take up so much of your day. If you have to go drop something off or pick something up or go check on vacant houses, all those kinds of things that, we do them when we should be making phone calls, right? So if you have someone else who can pick up some of that slack for you, it helps. And it's just, you have to take a leap sometimes to pay someone, even if it's only part-time, a few hours a week, to take some of that off your plate so that you can start concentrating on the activities that are actually going to make you money, right? Like an assistant to start with, who can run your errands and keep you on track and say, hey, go back in on those phones, Sue. Don't stand out here and talk to me. You need somebody like that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Minnie. Camilla has a question. Sue, do you use online leads or use social media for leads? And do you feel that it's a effective use of your marketing dollars?
Yeah, so this is a big question for us, and I don't for sure know the answer to it. It's never a place that we've spent a lot of marketing dollars. I mean, we've spent some money on Zillow. We've tried different things here and there. To be honest, we've never found that it was super effective. What we, as far as social media goes, we've recently changed our social media strategy to try something different, which is a lot more video. But social media, I mean, I know sometimes people build careers around social media, like Rachel Adams Lee, if you know Rachel, up in Sacramento. That hasn't been what we do. We try to do Facebook and Instagram more as a way of brand recognition, because half the time if we get a Facebook lead or someone calling off of an Instagram, it's actually someone who's in our database already. So, I mean, it's definitely not one of our major legs in our business. We're trying to pay more attention to it because we've been told that this is a way of the future. But to be honest, we haven't actually found the vehicle yet that will give us leads. The one thing that we're doing is we use a database called Firepoint, and it has two things. It has something called Ylopo, which somehow picks people out of the database and starts interacting with them. And then we have a HomeBot program that sort of does the same thing. It's artificial intelligence. So we do get a lot of response from that. I mean, we get people interacting with us in our database via text with our agents who we don't know. But they've gone online and they were looking for something and stumbled across our website, and now we picked them up as someone that we interact with. We're not closing tons of business on that yet, but it is something that we're trying to add as another leg, because we know everyone starts looking online, and if we have a chance to capture them before they walk into somebody else's open house or something like that, then we will. So we just try to keep consistently in touch with those people. We do weekly email newsletters to our buyer prospects with as much good information as we can to try to get them to respond to us, right, if they're not actively engaged with us already.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Camilla, on that question. Ray has,
and we do a lot of mining in our database, people that have raised their hand at one time or another, even if it was a year or two ago, but they haven't actively engaged with us yet, because they're actually probably warmer than just a cold call sometimes. So don't neglect who's in your database who you kind of gave up on, because it takes many, many, many contacts to engage someone who's come in online.
Beautiful.
But they did raise their hand, so there's that.
Ray has a question. Hey, Sue, how do you build a successful relationship with your clients, having them as loyal clients for life?
Oh, well, so that's the easy part for me. Finding the clients is the hard part, but building the relationships is easy. And again, Maria and I do this very differently, but at the heart of it is that we actually do care and we do spend time. So from the very beginning, when we have a listing appointment with someone or a buyer consult, we're very much into creating rapport with them and finding out what makes them tick, what's important to them. So whether it's a listing appointment where we walk through the house and we're looking at the house, but we're saying, just finding information. It's the Ford talk, right? Family, organization, recreation, and dreams. What is it that sort of floats their boat and is important to them? And, trying to just create a rapport there so that in the end, when we start giving them information, they don't hire us because of that information. They hire us because they like us and want to do business with us. It comes down to that. You have to show that you're knowledgeable, that you have experience, but that's not enough. You have to have that that rapport with them where they say, oh, wow, this is a kind person who is looking out for my best interests, and I enjoy talking to them, and we could hang around together, because that's what you do, right, for quite a long time sometimes. So whether or not they think that they're looking for that, they are. So you have to make sure that you provide that. If you don't have that, then it's going to be very transactional. And when you come up against the hard stuff, then so you're in a negotiation for them to buy or sell their home, and things aren't going well, or you're in the middle of inspections. If you don't have that sort of deep relationship with them, then that's money in the bank for you, because they like you. What that means actually over time is that they trust you. So when you say, well, in a kind way, you really do have to give them $5,000 if you want this deal to come together. They don't think you're just trying to get the deal done so you can get paid. They think, wow, you understand the transaction and you get me, and you've said this in a way that I understand, and I trust you. So that's how you do it. You just have conversations where you go a little bit deep with people, because building that relationship and trust it's a key thing throughout the transaction.
Absolutely. Manny says it's not always about what you know, but it's how you make them feel, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. People don't know. There was a guy, his name was, oh gosh, his name escapes me right now, but his dad was a preacher, and he did a lot of real estate seminars and stuff back in the 80s, I guess. And he always said, no one knows how much you know until they know how much you care. And he's not the first one who said that, but I just always remembered him saying it.
Absolutely. Camilla has another question for you, Sue. What portion of your business is referral based, and what is the most effective way you have found to ask for referrals?
I don't know the exact percentage, but 60% of our business is past client referrals, and sphere referrals. So a lot of it. We're not as good at that as we should. We're trying to get better. We do a lot of touches with our clients throughout the transaction. And by that, I mean little sort of surprise and delight gifts that they get along the way. And we try to, when they're happy with something, we try to say, great, we're so happy we were able to solve that problem. It would be, we'd like to do the same thing for anyone who, in the future might need to buy or sell their house. We try to put those things in when we can. We also, now we have a concierge who we hired, whose only job is to talk to our past clients. She calls and asks how the transaction went, and she'll ask for reviews and referrals when she does that. But you could do that as an individual agent, just calling, give him some time, maybe even 30 days after escrow close. Hey, I just checking in. I just, in retrospect, I wanted to ask you quite candidly, how was it working with me on this transaction? I'm always trying to improve. Was there anything that I could have done better? And then that's a good way to segue into, I really like working with people. What we usually say is, we had so much fun working with you. We'd like to work with more people like you, because we like to work with nice people. And that's how we ask for it.
It's perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. We have one more question if you'd like to ask Sue before we wrap it up. Anyone else? Okay. Well, Sue, that was a lot of content, a lot of information.
Hope I didn't talk too much.
No, it was a lot of value. So really appreciate you, Sue, for taking the time of your daily schedule to jump on with us and, provide us with this amazing, experience that you've gone through and, just providing us and pouring us with knowledge. So again,
Okay.
Sue, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
If anybody's in Hermosa Beach, feel free to stop by our office and say hi.
Yeah, they're right off of PCH. And what's the cross street, Sue?
We're at 15th Street, across from Chipotle and Hermosa Beach. Yeah, by the Vaughn Shopping Center.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you for your time.
Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes our Producer's Mindset. Thank you very much. And again, Sue, awesome. Thank you again for participating and being part of this, Sue. Have a
Oh, you're
phenomenal
so welcome. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.